Ever feel like the golden age has no more surprises to spring? Think again, cine seekers. Tonight we're cracking open the vault on 15 post-war suspense scorchers that kept 1940s audiences clenched to threadbare theater seats and will glue you to the screen today. From shadow-slick noirs to claustrophobic nail-biters, these undersung marvels define edge of seat. Ready? Popcorn poised? Let's roll. White Heat, 1949. Made it, Ma. Top of the world. James Cagney absolutely explodes on screen as Cody Jarrett, this mother-fixated outlaw with these crazy manic highs and blinding migraines. The budget was about $1.3 million, and they actually commandeered a dormant oil refinery for that insane climax. Cagney insisted on performing amid real heat. Temperatures hit 120 degrees Fahrenheit, even blistering his hands around that prop grenade. That's commitment. Virginia Mayo, who plays his wife Verna, actually practiced her slaps on a boxing speed bag. Cagney joked her whacks rang like typewriters. The influence of this movie? Monumental. Scorsese's Goodfellas quotes its mother loyalty stuff, Tarantino's Reservoir. Dogs lifts that undercover tension, that final refinery blast where the camera cranes skyward as flames paint this apocalyptic dawn, turns the gangster film into this operatic showstopper. Gun Crazy, 1949. Before Bonnie and Clyde became the iconic outlaw couple, Bart Terre met Annie Laurie Starr and heard Destiny cock a pistol. This was filmed guerrilla style on just $400,000, but it shoots pure adrenaline straight into the celluloid. The opening carnival scene is fever, Annie in glittering spandex firing. Specials with this crazy erotic precision while Bart watches, pupils dilating. The legendary single-take bank robbery is mind-blowing. The cinematographer crammed the camera in the back seat of Plymouth, shooting through the dusty windshield as the couple parks, argues tactics, then prowls into the bank. Real cops on set actually thought it was happening and nearly drew their weapons. The domestic box office was pretty mediocre, but French New Wave critics later exhumed it and praised its subjective camera work. Tarantino, De Palma, and Malick all cite it as inspiration. You can see its DNA in Natural Born Killers and Badlands. The Third Man, 1949. Sunlight rarely penetrates post-war Vienna's rubble maze in Carol Reed's Moral Mystery. Joseph Cotten plays pulp writer Holly Martins, who arrives seeking his old friend Harry Lime, only to learn Lime is dead. Or is he? Those tilted Dutch angles mimic bomb-scarred architecture and ethical slippage, while the Academy Award-winning cinematography streaks lamplight across wet cobblestones like smeared gilt. For the Vienna sewer scenes, they redirected 40,000 gallons of Danube water nightly, and Orson Welles still refused to wade deeper than his ankles. They had to use a body double for those waist-high shots. A zither player named Anton Karas, who they discovered in some random wine bar, improvised that haunting theme music. It sold 500,000 records stateside, topping charts ahead of all the popular crooners. The premiere at Cannes in '49 drew a 10-minute ovation. Fun trivia. Welles totally ad-libbed that famous cuckoo clock speech atop the Ferris wheel. Today, Vienna actually operates tunnel tours called the Third Man Sewers for film buffs. If you're into Coppola or Nolan's work, check out this movie's shadow techniques. They've studied it extensively. Sorry, wrong number, 1948. A cracked phone line, a bedridden heiress, and time slipping through buzzing cables. This movie elevates eavesdropping into existential terror. Barbara Stanwyck delivers a tour de force as Leona Stevenson, this narcotically fragile yet fierce woman confined to her gilded Manhattan apartment. The director adapts what was originally just a 22-minute radio play into 89 breathless minutes by fracturing the chronology. Every incoming call triggers a flashback layering betrayal upon betrayal. The camera literally prowls around Leona's four-poster bed like a circling vulture. Production nugget, Stanwyck rehearsed screaming, "Operator," 125 times to capture that raw vocal strain. Burt Lancaster, as husband Henry, would actually sprint up and down stairwells before his takes to get that sweaty collar look. Talk about method acting. The cultural legacy is huge. Screenwriter Fletcher's depiction of phone networks as labyrinthine webs basically prefigures cyber thriller DNA. Gillian Flynn cites it as inspiration for Gone Girl. That final whisper of, "Sorry, wrong number," as switchboards crackle, will have you clutching your phone tighter forever after. Night Has 1,000 Eyes, 1948. Step right up. Edward G. Robinson plays John Triton, this clairvoyant carnival mentalist who foresees doom he cannot prevent. The movie opens with this incredible 1920s big-top flashback. They stuffed Paramount Stage 12 with velvet canopies, live lions, even a genuine high-wire troupe. The budget was a modest $600,000, but the illusions dazzle. The cinematographer experiments with these double-exposure orbs swirling over Robinson's eyes whenever visions strike, totally prefiguring 60s psychedelia. Franz Waxman's score deploys these atonal strings to create cosmic dread. The music editor actually spliced backwards harp glissandos for that otherworldly shimmer. The studio marketed it as horror, but critics recognized its noir soul. Box office initially slept, but drive-in circuits of the late 50s resurrected it. Here's some trivia. Robinson, who struggled with insomnia, claimed the script's fatalism spoke to 3 a.m. demons. Neil Gaiman even cites it among inspirations for Sandman. The Big Clock, 1948. Corporate cat-and-mouse games rarely slice this sharp. Ray Milland plays George Stroud, this ace crime mag editor at Monstrous Crimeways, who has 24 hours to solve a murder he's being framed for by his tyrannical boss Earl Janeth, played with reptilian obesity by Charles Lawton. Paramount poured $180,000 just into constructing that Art Deco skyscraper interior featuring a 22-foot electric face of the Big Clock, whose neon minute hand hydraulically ticked for close-ups. The camera weaves between escalators, open-plan newsrooms, and ducts, mirroring Stroud's desperation. Legendary anecdote, Lofton looped his chilling whisper, "Answer me," 37 times, demanding micro-variations until the playback literally curdled spines. The picture recouped triple its cost opening week. Modern audiences might recognize it from its 1987 Kevin Costner remake, No Way Out. The Naked City, 1948. There are 8 million stories in The Naked City. This has been one of them. This pseudo-documentary crime saga yanks audiences from studio fog onto sweating Manhattan sidewalks. Cameras roamed actual 14th Street markets, Fifth Avenue glitz, even Williamsburg's East River piers. Guerrilla filming before the term existed. Producer Mark Hellinger insisted on shooting 107 locations, which totally blew up the schedule, but kept the budget at $1.2 million by foregoing sets. Those burly Panflex cameras were engineered with silenced housings to avoid tipping off pedestrians. Many extras are genuine New Yorkers startled mid-commute. The box office tripled cost, and it won Academy Awards for Best Cinematography and Editing. The legendary sequence. Suspect Willie Garza sprints over Williamsburg Bridge, girders 135 feet above snarling traffic. Actor Ted DeCorsia actually balanced without a harness, with paramedics lurking below. This movie basically birthed modern police procedurals. Dragnet, Law and Order all echo its voiceover, and Just the Facts beat. When the final line says, "There are 8 million more stories," it's promising an infinite anthology universe decades before Marvel coined the term. Rope, 1948. Alfred Hitchcock dares real-time malevolence. 2 thrill-killing Nietzschean students strangle a classmate, stash him in a chest, then host a dinner party atop their coffin-cum-buffet. James Stewart plays their shrewd mentor Rupert Cadell, circling the intellectual carrion, sniffing philosophical decay. The insane technical achievement. It's shot in Technicolor on a single penthouse set, masquerading as one continuous 80-minute take, actually 10-minute film reels stitched by hidden cuts. Massive 200-pound cameras trundled on rubber-tired dollies over grooved floors, while walls silently rolled away as actors crossed invisible seams. The cinematographer calibrated backdrop cycloramas to shift Manhattan's sky from tangerine dusk to inky night, in sync with story tension. Hand-painted clouds advanced via electric winches. Budget, $1.5 million. Box office, lukewarm, with censors uneasy about the homosexual subtext inspired by Leopold and Loeb. Trivia: Hitchcock's cameo appears twice, first as a neon Manhattan sign advertising Reduco diet powder, later as a crowd silhouette in establishing shot. Modern one-shot thrillers, Birdman, 1917, owe everything to this technical gamble. Key Largo, 1948. Hurricane force meets moral storm in John Huston's taut chamber thriller. Humphrey Bogart plays ex-Major Frank McCloud, who arrives at a weather-battered Florida Keys hotel to honor a fallen comrade's widow. Lauren Bacall smoldering in beige simplicity, only to lock horns with Edward G. Robinson's Johnny Rocco, this sweating, swaggering gangster exiled from Prohibition glory. The claustrophobic tension marinates in air so muggy you can virtually taste salt. Warner Brothers flooded Burbank's tank, 3 with 200,000 gallons, whipping wind machines into 60-mile-per-hour gusts that shredded 2 lighting grids. To heighten Rocco's slick menace, Robinson wore 3 layers of wool beneath his tropical suit. Hellish, he later quipped, but the sweat sold fear. Watch Claire Trevor's Oscar-winning turn as Rocco's alcoholic mall gay Dawn. Her off-key torch song was captured in one raw take after Huston withheld rehearsal. A cruel stroke that mined genuine. The Lady from Shanghai, 1947. Orson Welles steers cinema into a funhouse of fractured desire, where mirrors, seascapes, and murder swirl like whiskey in a cracked tumbler. He casts himself as naive sailor Michael O'Hara, lured by Rita Hayworth's peroxide blonde siren Elsa Bannister into a yacht-bound web of jealousy and betrayal. Off-screen, Welles and Hayworth's crumbling marriage electrified on-screen chemistry. Tabloids salivated while Columbia suits sweated over a spiraling $2 million budget. Welles shaved Hayworth's iconic red hair platinum, scandalizing studio heads who banked on her fiery image. The globe-trotting shoot jumped from Acapulco cliffs to San Francisco's playland at the beach, culminating in the legendary Hall of Mirrors shootout. The cinematographer unleashed trick photography. Multiplying gun flashes ricocheted across 10,000 square feet of glass, with the real actors ducking behind sliding mirror panels hand-polished to razor clarity. Test audiences were baffled by Welles's labyrinthine editing and brogue-laden narration. Columbia hacked nearly an hour, leaving an intoxicating 88-minute fever dream that flopped commercially. Tarantino lauds its aquarium date scene, where sharks look like subconscious Freudian threats, calling it celluloid vertigo. Odd Man Out, 1947. Snow churns under dying street lamps as James Mason's fugitive revolutionary Johnny McQueen staggers through Belfast's winter labyrinth. Wounded body, driven soul. Carol Reed transforms 6 hours of real time into existential epic, shooting guerrilla style amid war-scarred back alleys. To mimic icy slush in the studio, production sprinkled pulverized coal over glycerin-slick floors, creating tractionless misery Mason later called an actor's skating rink. The film exceeded its 300,000-pound budget after Reed insisted on a monorail camera rig for dreamlike glides following Johnny's delirium. The composer's score pulses like distant sirens. Each violin swell coincides with Johnny's faltering heartbeat. Supporting cast includes Robert Newton, whose deranged painter offers to immortalize Johnny's agony on canvas, prefiguring Newton's later pirate bombast. Mason, filming in sub-freezing sets, carried real-life bruises. He'd slam whiskey between takes, believing the character's pallor demanded internal fire. By dawn, as snowfall blanks the screen, audience nerves are left frost-bitten, yet strangely exalted. Out of the Past, 1947. Cigarette smoke spirals into destiny in Jacques Tourneur's fatalistic Jewel. Robert Mitchum's Jeff Bailey tries outrunning a shadowed past, but when cardigan-smooth mobster Whit Sterling, Kirk Douglas channeling reptilian charisma, summons him, doom tightens like a silken noose. Jane Greer's Kathy Moffat, dressed in sunlight-defying white, strides from a Mexican cantina doorway, and cinema noir cracks open. Nicholas Musaraka's cinematography frames her entrance through bamboo slats, foreshadowing the cage Jeff can't perceive. Production gossip. Mitchum bet Greer she couldn't keep a straight face through 20 takes of their hotel room sparks. She won, claiming his fedora as trophy. Ticket sales proved modest. 1947's box office crowned musicals, not existential yops. Yet French critics, from Rivette to Truffaut, lionized it as film noir in its crystalline form. Note how the narrative structure time jumps like cigarette ash flicked into the wind six. Past and present interlock until fate extinguishes both. By the blaze-lit finale at Sterling's Mountain Lodge, the story circles a cosmic drain, proving Jeff's opening line, "You can never help anything now," is noir gospel. The Stranger, 1946. What if the polite history teacher in your Norman Rockwell town once designed concentration camps? Orson Welles' The Stranger, needles that dread with scalp-crawling calm. Edward G. Robinson plays this pipe-puffing war crimes investigator Wilson, tracking Nazi fugitive Franz Kindler, alias Professor Charles Rankin, into Harper, Connecticut, where maple leaf serenity masks rot. Wells, directing and starring, agreed to RKO's strict budget cap of $1 million to prove he could play studio ball. Harper's Town Square was a redressed backlot from It's a Wonderful Life, and that looming clock tower's interior existed only as a 5-story forced perspective miniature. Wells orchestrates suspense like a symphony. A ticking pendulum echoes Kindler's fraying alias, while the composer threads solemn organ chords that surge into full requiem at that vertiginous climax. Lore fans relish Robinson's improvisation. Wilson's terse, "Rankin, I'm in a hurry," was unscripted after multiple takes ran long. Contemporary critics weren't impressed by the noir flourishes. The New Yorker lamented thrills without philosophy. But syndicated late-night TV in the 60s resurrected it. Quentin Tarantino screens it annually, hailing its anti-nostalgia gut punch. The Spiral Staircase, 1946. Lightning lashes a Victorian mansion, rain assaults stained glass windows, and downstairs a killer stalks women who cannot scream. Robert Siodmak distills pure Gothic dread in a lean 83 minutes, and every inch drips atmosphere. Dorothy Maguire's mute heroine Helen is no wilting flower. Her silence becomes razor-sharp sensory radar as she tiptoes through corridors alive with shutter-slamming thunder. The cinematographer, fresh off Cat People, bathes that titular staircase in chiaroscuro, curling shadows like talons. The production designer built the entire spiral on a swivel platform to allow 360-degree camera glides. The rig squeaked so loudly that dialogue had to be looped later. Shot for $750,000, the film doubled its cost opening fortnight, driven by lurid posters promising the screen's supreme shock thriller. Backstage, star Ethel Barrymore, earning an Oscar nod for matriarch Mrs. Warren, kept a flask of brandy off-camera to soothe bronchitis, lending her line deliveries that tremulous vibrato fans now cherish. Modern terror titans bow to its first-person prowler, POV. John Carpenter screened it repeatedly before storyboarding Halloween. Jordan Peele cites its victim-centric tension as DNA for Get Out. One thing often missed in 1946, Helen's disability reframes final girl dynamics decades before the term existed, making her triumph a quietly radical statement on agency. Notorious, 1946. And coming in at number 1, espionage never tasted so intoxicating as in Hitchcock's masterpiece. Alfred Hitchcock pitches Ingrid Bergman's disillusioned Alicia Huberman into the morally swampy embrace of Cary Grant's sleek U.S. agent Devlin, then detonates their trust one champagne bubble at a time. The setup is crisp: reluctant heroine, covert Nazi cell in Rio, radioactive MacGuffin stashed in a wine cellar. Yet the genius lives between the lines. Bergman's half-quiver smile when Devlin first volunteers her for seduction duty, Grant's granite jaw twitching with jealousy he can't admit. Shot for just over $1 million, Hitch famously choreographed the ballroom-to-key crane shot for 4 days, splicing a 28-foot camera drop with a hidden cut inside Claude Rains' shoulder. The composer holds his score in stealth until tension screams for release. Listen for the two-note motif that resurfaces whenever Alicia pockets that uranium-laced bottle. Box office returns were solid but hardly seismic because post-war audiences expected flag-waving thrillers, not romantic fatalism. Critics, however, sniffed greatness. Bosley Crowther praised its mechanical perfection. The film's second life ignited in 1972 when programmer Dan Talbot's New Yorker Theater paired it with Casablanca. Younger cinephiles suddenly framed it as Hitchcock's most adult moral puzzle. Can love survive weaponized guilt? Strap in. Emotional stakes seldom detonate with such champagne crystal precision. 15 post-war shockwaves, each a masterclass in tension that rewired cinematic DNA. Which title yanked you farthest forward in your seat? Ignite the comments below and drop any shadowy treasures you think I still need to unearth. If this sprint through nitrate night stoked your cine flame, slam subscribe, ring that bell, and recruit fellow film fanatics to the Movieverse family. We've only scratched silver screen stratigraphy. Until then, keep reels spinning, nerves steel-clamped, and eyes fixed on that flickering frame. See you in the silvery shadows.